What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley, that's Scott Savage, and you can join us over at InsideTheGame.ca, our YouTube channel at Inside the Game Official, our podcast services, thanks to our friends at Fired Up Network, and all those beautiful TV streaming platforms around the globe. Roku, Amazon Prime, Samsung Plus, Jinx Esports TV, ESTV, and a whole lot more. Scott, we have a whole lot to talk about today. What's on the show?
And coming up on today's episode, we have Starfield surpassing 1 million concurrent players, Bethesda's Indiana Jones game, and when we can expect to hear more. Ubisoft Singapore is facing union action. We're never going to see Skull and Bones. And the future of Baldur's Gate will include crossplay.
Dude, that's not a bad show. Starfield hitting 1 million concurrent players is a big one. Will they pass Forza Horizon 5? Only time will tell. Scott, let's dive in. There's a lot to talk about today. Scott, topic number one is the big one, and it should come as no surprise as Xbox says Starfield topped 1 million concurrent players on launch day. It was funny. I saw a lot of posts coming up going, xCloud, please wait. Everybody trying to get in to play. It was busy, very busy. Tom Ivan over at VGC had this to say. Following a 5-day early access period for customers who pre-ordered Starfield's Premium Edition or Constellation Edition, Bethesda's new IP was released on September 6th for Xbox Series X and S, PC via Windows, and Steam, as well as Game Pass. Quote, Starfield exceeded 1 million concurrent players across all platforms today, end quote, Xbox boss Phil Spencer said on Wednesday. Quote, thanks to all the players who helped us reach this great milestone, and congrats to the Bethesda Game Studios, end quote. A breakdown of which platforms players were using at the time wasn't provided. Starfield hit over 230,000 concurrent players in its first 2 hours on Steam, Scott. So, dude, in November of 2021, Microsoft said Forza Horizon 5 had achieved the biggest launch in Xbox history, attracting more than 10 million players in its first week. Scott, where do you expect Starfield to land in this ranking?
I think Starfield is going to surpass 10 million in the first week, given how everybody's just been so hot to jump on it.
No, absolutely. There's been a clamoring for this game for so long, right? And then when it got delayed, it was like, no, but it was warranted. I think the delay was definitely warranted, as we still have experienced bugs and so forth. In like, check out our review. It is the biggest review in ITG history that we've done on any game to this day. We'll see if we ever exceed that, Scott. But it's just been one of those things, dude. It is such a big game. Like, I was playing, I've hit, where am I at now? Dude, I'm above the 80-hour mark. Like, I'm somewhere in around 80 hours. I made another outpost today because I'm like, I need more resources. Iron is like a big problem for me right now. So I'm going in, I'm getting extractors going in, I'm building my outpost, and I'm putting down like turrets. So I got security so we don't get raided more out of my outpost. And I want to build like so much more around just that outpost alone. But then that takes you down this whole rabbit hole of trying to get resources and things like, dude, this game is just at a whole other level. I'm on the fence. Like, game of the year discussion for Starfield is going to be a curious one because there are so many bugs still. Like, dude, I talked about in my review of how I got stuck behind a door. Still to this day, stuck behind a door, right? But it brings this hype and excitement. And then I hit a point yesterday in the game too. I was like, no, like, yo, at a whole, it just brought my hype and expectations to another level. And that's like, Starfield is just, dude, it's such an exciting title. I'm not a Skyrim fan, right? I'm not an Elder Scrolls guy. I'm not a Fallout fan. So here we are. I'm not even a sci-fi guy, Scott. But yet, Starfield has me hooked. There's so many things to do. I keep trying to get into my ship and trying to craft that and change things up. But I need other classes. So now I'm going down the rabbit hole of working on all my upgrades to upgrade my ship. And man, I'm telling you, Scott, this will be around forever, I feel like, right? There's just so much to explore. I think this is what everybody's now jumping into, going, oh my goodness, look how big this is. Look how much there is to do. Look at all the hype that has been built up with it. And I think the 45-minute gameplay explanation from Bethesda helped solidify my hype a little bit more jumping into Starfield before actually getting hands-on. Scott, how are you making it with Starfield?
I'm very, very early on still.
Boo.
I've basically just met Constellation, and I'm about to leave for the first heading. And I've spent a very little amount of time in it. I'm kind of silly that way. It's intimidatingly large. So I've been trying to close off some of the other open games I have left going on, and finding myself lost in Halo Infinite, which I'm very happy to report. Quite surprised myself, but Halo Infinite Online is... It's finally where it should have been on launch, but that's a problem of its own.
It certainly is. But it's nice to see 1 million players. Do you think it passes Horizon 5?
I think it will. I think it will in quick time, because there's just I've never seen an amount of hype come down for a game like this besides besides Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
And Cyberpunk was, of course, not. It wasn't there to meet the hype that it had generated. In this case, I think Starfield really has landed properly, although I haven't gotten deep enough into it myself to find the funny bugs that I know I will.
Yep.
But I see everybody around the world seemingly, either having a great time or trying to extinguish everybody else's great time. So that's a mark of a social phenomenon almost.
Yeah, kind of, right? The trolls are gonna troll, and it's just like, yo, if you troll on our channels and stuff like that, we'll just block you. We don't have time for that. At the end of the day, we want to have a good community and a solid conversation going around what we're playing and having a good time. We're here for a good time, not to be jerks to people. So if you can just get past what's happening around, because you are gonna get those who are just gonna hate on the game regardless. Clearly, not everybody hating, dude. 1 million concurrent players, all having a good time. Granted, different times. It's funny, as I look at Starfield, I go, this isn't for everybody, but yet I'm talking to people who are playing it now, and they're just like, yo, our buddy Kyle, who we normally game with every day, I'm like, dude, you gonna play? He goes, I'm in Starfield, man, later. so he's gone. My brother now has built like several outposts, and he's like linking them together, so all the resources are jumping back and forth. Dude, there's so much to do in here, and I can't wait to see what else I explore to get into. New Game Plus is something I'm actually looking forward to. Here's the thing, if you don't know, this is my play style. Dude, I play a game, I finish it, and then I bounce. I'm on. I very rarely return or start New Game Plus. I'm looking forward to getting into New Game Plus and seeing what else happens, what else pops around the corner, because there is so much excitement and so much hype around this New Game Plus mode. Because granted, I still haven't finished the game. Dude, I'm 80 hours in, still not done the main campaign. And I'm working away on everything else, right? This, like, I fell down this rabbit hole this morning of my outpost, which then I'm like, oh, I want to do this, to the outpost, but I'm out of resources. Now I'm off to go farm those resources. Like, there goes the story again, right? There goes all the side quests I'm doing.
I think this really is the game of the year because of this, the depth of how many different systems there are, the creation. If you want to go through all of the steps, I saw somebody had created the Future Express, which is the spaceship from Futurama, and there's so many just ideas that come to mind. It doesn't matter who you are, you're gonna find something to enjoy. It may not be stealth espionage action like we're used to in Splinter Cell, but that's just about the only thing it's missing. I can't really find.
Dude, the stealth isn't hitting for me. I'm actually rolling around with a shotgun 9 times out of 10. It's like, I'm getting spotted from miles and miles away. I'm like how am I supposed to do my stealth kill or anything? And then there is no stealth kill animation prompt, like nothing like that. It's just, I don't know. I'm still working down that line in my skill tree and stuff, and then I'm working on that build, but at the same time, I'm thinking about actually just switching because it is just not working at all, that I'm going shotgun heavy. It's
the first Bethesda game you can't just beat it really easily being a stealth archer. That's the joke always.
Dude, I'm such a stealth guy. This is what I wanted to do, right? But you mentioned Game of the Year discussion right there, and this is where, like, okay, is it really Game of the Year? Dude, Final Fantasy 16 is right there.
I'm not familiar with.
Oh man, I'm telling you, that story hit me, and to the point where it brought me to tears, right? And that isn't something that happens very often within gaming. So the fact that it actually brought me to tears, I was like, oh, what a moment. That rose to my Game of the Year. And Starfield beat that? I don't know, but Starfield is easily going to be the game I play the most this year. So there is that conversation, right? Like, this is where things kind of come around. But dude, congrats to Bethesda Studios. Starfield, 1 million concurrent players, and it's only going to grow from here. Scott, speaking of Bethesda, we're on the topic still. As Indiana Jones game ain't coming until 2024. At least anything about it. Ost and Kunk over VG247. It's been a while since we heard anything about Machine Games' Indiana Jones game, but Bethesda's Todd Howard says we'll still need to wait a bit longer. The currently unnamed Indiana Jones game is currently in development at Wolfenstein developer Machine Games, but there's nary been. What is that? Dude,
there's nary been a word on it.
Nary been a word on it since. I've never seen that. Since it was announced back in 2021 in January. We did learn through the FTC's court case against Microsoft that the game was originally planned to also launch on PlayStation 5, but that's now out of the question. But according to Starfield's director, if you want to hear any more about the game, you're going to have to wait until 2024. Quote, I'm a giant Indiana Jones fan. It can be brought to video games in a unique way, end quote, Howard said to Esquire in a recent interview, though he didn't go into much detail about Machine Games' take on the IP. Quote, the game is obviously you're exploring stuff. It's about him. So if you're playing the game, how do you feel that you are indeed playing versus just watching, end quote. The only other thing Howard had to say regarding the game was, quote, we'll talk next year, end quote. Scott, nobody knows anything. Dude, we got like a brief trailer, and that was it. It was more like a splash screen of the title. Congrats.
Yeah.
We're working on Indiana Jones, and that's about it. Where do you think they can take this?
Oh, I'm glad that they haven't stuck to any sort of title, any movie title. This is not, to my eyes, doesn't seem to be a movie tie-in. I've not seen Dial of Destiny, I should say, as well. So I'm not sure if that would be satisfactory in a video game setting. But I wonder, what would an Indiana Jones game look like? I have a foggy memory of about 20 years ago, no lie, playing a Game Boy, I believe original Game Boy Indiana Jones game. And it was a side-scrolling, top-down action game, think Mega Man, but with a whip. And and it was fun from what I remember, but that's obviously not what holds up today's standards. So being from Machine Games, am I going to expect a Wolfenstein level of Nazi destruction?
They're gonna have some action in there for sure, right? It's not gonna be all stealth. It's not gonna be just you exploring around. It's gonna be I'm kind of a mix of Wolfenstein and
Phantom Abyss.
Phantom Abyss, right? Honestly, if you want to talk about Indiana Jones, the Uncharted, Nathan Drake, dude, is Indiana Jones of the video game genre as of like
you're right,
the last whatever, who knows? And then you can even mention Lara Croft with Tomb Raider. Like there's that kind of, so how did they go away from Uncharted and Lara Croft's Tomb Raider versions and kind of craft their own? I think they can definitely do that. Do they go first person, Scott, or do we go third person is my question.
Yeah, I'm not familiar if Machine's game has ever gone third person before.
So it would be
first would work, but
yeah,
I'm wondering, is there going to be a morality system? Can you... Oh, excuse me. I'm getting some fall time sneeze. That was interesting.
That's funny.
That was bizarre.
Will they switch it up? Will they finally go to the third person perspective? And I think you almost want to with Indiana Jones, wouldn't you?
I think so, because I think that would work out well in showing off the models. And now you've got Uncharted in my head. I think that would be a very good decision of direction to bring it. But
yeah,
are you shooting as many people as Nathan Drake does? Indiana Jones is more of a bandit. He's not exactly a war fighter.
No, he's more like escaping.
I mentioned the morality system because there are evidence, at least in the movies, that he's not always the best guy. He does shoot first sometimes.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they create for us to get into, right? I think it's exciting that they're moving away from Wolfenstein. Will we ever see a Wolfenstein game again, Scott? Never say never. It's been a while.
I hope so.
Young Blood was the most recent one, and dude, that is old by now, right? So
yeah, it's several years. I think that's 2019.
Yeah, so there you go. We're now into 2023. It's been a few years for sure, which then kind of lines up for next year then, doesn't it? If Wolfenstein Young Blood came out in 2019, we're getting into 2024. We're going to start hearing more about it. And Bethesda right now is in no need to go, hey, here's also Indiana Jones when Starfield just dropped. Starfield dropped. We're like, yo, we're taking the world by storm right now with Starfield. We'll save this and we'll tuck it away for next year and then come out with a big splash and have a huge impact, hopefully, when it releases Indiana Jones. Dude, a lot of games coming next year too that has me very excited to see what we can get into. Dude, Star Wars Outlaws kind of has, right? So all of a sudden now we're kind of in that same, I know it's a different atmosphere and a whole different thing, but being Star Wars, but it still has that touch by it, doesn't it though? Like, you know what I mean?
The just space exploration, adventuring,
yeah,
swashbuckling, as I believe the marketing put it.
Yeah, dude, I don't know, it's exciting. I can't wait to see more. We're gonna hear more next year, as we really don't know anything about it so far. Scott, this is a game that will just never sink. It is Skull and Bones dev Ubisoft Singapore facing union action, overpay, and workplace treatment. Dude, they've been under scrutiny over there because people just aren't being nice. Sophie McEvoy over at GamesIndustry.biz. Ubisoft Singapore was previously accused of sustaining a toxic culture in 2021. We went into a heavy discussion about that. And then on top of that, dude, I just don't get it, man. They're not properly paid over there, and from what I understand, it's a toxic environment, which just sets everybody off in a wrong atmosphere. Dude, I've been in some of those situations, and I remember it turning my stomach that I don't want to go to work. Right?
No, it's like gardening with salt water.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. So hopefully they're able to fix that and get that over with, and just, man, I don't know, even shut the studio down. If it's that bad, just shut it down. Ubisoft has enough other studios, don't they?
They do. It certainly doesn't seem like Skull and Bones has made much meaningful progress. I suppose it has. We have seen a beta come and go now. At this point, there is something there.
Well, let's get into that, because Ubisoft Skull and Bones has also lost its third creative director since development began in 2013, a decade ago. Scott, according to Kotaku, Elizabeth Pellin left Ubisoft Singapore over the summer to return to the publisher's headquarters in Paris. Pellin, who was previously VP of Editorial at Ubisoft Paris, is now working under the title of Director Editorial Online, according to LinkedIn. The former creative director joined the games team at Ubisoft Singapore in 2018 to reboot the creative direction of Skull and Bones. The publisher told Kotaku in a statement. She succeeded, and the Skull and Bones team is now fulfilling her vision to deliver a unique naval action RPG experience to our players, end quote. Scott, a third one. Either A, she is done with the job and just moved on. Maybe it has nothing to do. Maybe they were able to clean up some of that toxic environment. Yo, it's pretty simple. If they're toxic, get them out. Just get them out, right? Nobody needs to deal with that. Nobody wants to be involved in that position. Nobody should deal with the harassment. And I've been in some places. I'm like, how do you get the right to talk to anybody like that? And it's just been bizarre. But
I've got a lot of stories like that, and it's from different industries. It's strange to me to see something that's supposed to be a comfortable creative endeavor, a creative industry, and still deals with this. It speaks to the human problem, really.
So hopefully Elizabeth is just finished with her job and moved back, right? Like, she's always been a part of Ubisoft, or at least been for quite a while. And she's just gone over, she's done her bit, and now she's out. And then hopefully Ubisoft can just get the game out, man. At this point, just send it out. Either it dies or it moves on and everybody has a good time, right? At this point, 10 years into the life cycle, can you just put it out? And what I've heard previously, because it did have another closed beta test, dude, it was actually pretty well received. Like, people are like, hey, I got hands on. This is actually turning out better now than it ever has. Things are starting to come around a little bit. It has me a little bit excited to jump into Skull and Bones. I was excited on day one back in 2013 when it was revealed, right? Because we are so heavily involved in Black Flag for Assassin's Creed that the naval portion of it, branching off, making its own game, coming around, and then being something different than Sea of Thieves has me excited. Granted, I still love Sea of Thieves. I think that game is fantastic. But what Skull and Bones has created is something a little bit different and much more realistic looking. So I can completely go in and customize the look of my ship, get these different weapons, and go out and have these grand battles, and then still go forward for parts and gear and this, that, and the other. Go back to an encampment and load up, you know, buy new pieces of this tech and all that kind of stuff, new cannons, new sails, all that kind of good stuff, right?
I guess that's the RPG element of it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm thinking, what makes it a unique RPG, given that it comes from Black Flag?
So then the biggest question comes down to, Scott, when do we get the game?
Oh, that's a good question. It's hard to say. It's almost a case of never say never, but one day we may get it.
One day.
I would expect maybe the beginning of next year, just to try and get it out the door, though.
Put it out in February. Put it out in March, right? Like, we're getting the new Prince of Persia in January, and then after that, we don't really know what else is lined up. We're supposed to be getting the big Assassin's Creed RPG next year, but they'll probably line that up for the holiday season like they normally do. So this gives them opportunity to put out Skull and Bones February, March. Just get it out of the way and put it out, and hopefully it succeeds. At the end of the day, there's no way it's going to recoup all the money, though, it's invested into the game.
No, I think that's impossible.
Yeah, dude, time will tell. Our last topic of the day is Larian is planning Baldur's Gate 3 PC and console crossplay. That's right, that sounds like a cool deal to me. Tom Ivan over at BGC. The feature will enable players on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S versions, which once it's there, it's coming to Xbox.
Yeah, eventually.
To play online together. Quote, it was always in the planning, but we knew it wouldn't be for launch. Larian's director of publishing, Michael Dose, told Eurogamer, quote, it's in our roadmap, and though we have an idea of when we'd like to get it ready for, we don't want to put a date on it until we're sure, end quote. Baldur's Gate 3 currently features cross-save compatibility between platforms, enabling PC and PS5 players to carry their progress with them wherever they play, which is always a cool feature to me, Scott. And I like the idea now that you can do the cross-play thing. It's such a pivotal gameplay mechanic nowadays. It should be incorporated in everything, shouldn't it?
Oh, it really just happened in the last decade, from what I can recall. Thanks, Rocket League.
Rocket League, Fortnite, I think those are big staples that have a big push in our industry to move that forward, right? And here we are now, PS5, Xbox, and PC players will be able to eventually play Baldur's Gate 3, which is granted as one of the biggest RPGs this year with Starfield. It's dude, like, I can't, man, it makes me smile. Game of the Year discussion. I can hardly wait. So many games to play. Baldur's Gate 3, just crushing it. Eventually coming to Xbox this year. So, Xbox players, stay tuned. Not bad. That was like a minute 35. Scott, dude, just like every other day, there's a few more games to play. What do we have?
Oh, the fun doesn't stop now. It is Alchemy Garden, now on the PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, X, and Nintendo Switch. Dokapon Kingdom Connect is on PC. Toss comes to PC, PS5, and PSVR 2. Lempo comes to PC, PS5.
Clear waters and feel the dawning of a new day.
Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis is on iOS and Android operating. The Dragoness Command of the Flame comes to Nintendo Switch, and that's all we have for today.
Not too bad at all. Dude, PSVR 2. Haha, can't wait.
Still going.
And learn new abilities.
Well, that'll wrap up today's show, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with us. This has been ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news each and every day. We'll be back again tomorrow. I'm Drew, that's Scott.
And we'll see you inside the game.